Hello, my name is Jim. Welcome to my YouTube channel about books and reading and stuff. In this video I'll be looking at the concept of home, homeland, homecoming. This is a response to Margaret Pinard's video about home. I'll link to her video in the description below. She's a writer. She's written some books about a family in Scotland who emigrated to Nova Scotia. I'm reading the first in the series, The Keening, and she's now focused on the third one, Storm, Wrack and Spindrift, about what happens when one of the family, Sheena, comes back to Scotland, and about Alistair and how he's making a home in the new land of Nova Scotia. For me, home is a long list of places. I've lived in many different places. I was born in London, in the Royal Borough of Hillingdon in 1964. I don't have any memories of my first home. I have maybe two sketchy memories of those first years, but when I was 3 I moved to Slough, which was my second home. This is where I went to school. Then from Slough there was Aberystwyth in Wales, where I went to university. Then it was back to Slough again. Slough made famous by The Office, Ricky Gervais's wonderful comedy, The Office. Then I went to Australia. I lived in Sydney, first at Maroubra Beach, then in Hurlstone Park, and then in Coogee. I miss living close to the ocean. Then it was back to England, but to a small village in Shropshire called Hopton Wafers. I didn't like living in a small village, so I soon moved back to London. First Wandsworth, then Tower Hamlets, and then Elephant and Castle. In Elephant and Castle we were burgled, so I moved out of London to Oxford, and then from Oxford I went to France. First to Lizy-sur-Roch, then to Triport, and then to Meaux. Meaux is famous for the Brie cheese. Then my wife was ill, so we moved to Corsica. Corsica is beautiful. If I could live there I would, but there's not a lot of work in Corsica. In Corsica we lived in Speloncato, a small village in the mountains, and then we lived in Lama. Then back to Wales again. First to Llanfihangel Nant Bran, which again is a small village, and I don't like living in small villages. They're too claustrophobic for me. And then Llangamach Wells. And then back to England for a final time. I lived in Worcester. I taught English in Worcester, and I was there for 10 years. Then I moved to my current home, which is Tbilisi in Georgia. This is Georgia, the Republic, not Georgia, the state in America, famous for Coca-Cola. I've lived in Tbilisi for 11 years now, but is it home? I guess it's as much home as anywhere else is. My wife is Georgian. She has always lived in Georgia. She was born in Tbilisi, and apart from a year spent in the countryside in Sagveri and summers spent in the villages near Gori, she spent all of her life in Tbilisi. My parents, they're buried in North Yorkshire, somewhere which is not home for me as I've never lived there. And my siblings, they're scattered. One is in Cornwall, one in Slough, and one in India. So my concept of home is quite strange. I'm an immigrant. When people ask me Saidan, meaning where are you from, I say London. This is where I was born, but I've spent more of my life in Tbilisi than in London. I say London, not Britain, because after Brexit saying I'm from Britain is just embarrassing. And when I'm reading, I'm taken to different worlds, different homes. Now I'm trudging the road to Glasgow with a heavy heart. I'm going to see if there's any work in the cotton mills there, as we're being thrown off our land in the Highlands.